Okay then, today we're gonna go over everything that you need to know about FISCARNA. So that being said, let's get into it. Starting off with the typing line, FISCARNA is a pure water type, which means defensively we are weak to plant, electric and toxic, and we resist fire, water, ice and metal. And then offensively, we can hit fire, electric and earth for super effective with stab boosted moves. Next up, let's go over the stats. So FISCARNA has 69 health, 88 energy, 23 melee attack, 87 melee defense, 113 range attack, 110 range defense and 79 speed. So definitely health is on the lower side, however the defenses definitely make up for that, and it is primarily most likely going to be used as a more defensive Loomian with those defensive stats. Pretty decent speed stat, it can outspeed a lot of slower tankier Loomians, and if you invest a little bit into it, you can actually outspeed some of the more offensive Loomians. The range attack stat is actually really good, it's actually higher than some of the offensive Loomians that we have in the game. The melee attack, you're just never going to use it at all, and the energy actually isn't that bad either. It's the exact same stat as starters have, so if you give it 28 energy TPs, at level 50, you have 250 energy to use, which is honestly pretty ideal for most Loomians to have. Now for the abilities then. The first ability is Regift. This ability will retarget support moves that are used against FISCARNA back to the one who used the move, which is really good for making us immune to provoke, for example. We can also prevent entry hazards from being set up on our side of the field, while at the same time bouncing them back to the opponent's side of the field, giving us free entry hazards. Basically a lot of support moves we can just negate, which is very nice. The second ability is called Jamiy. It is a brand new ability, and this makes us immune to all explosive and bomb-like moves. Right now in the game, this consists of Water Bomb, Coconut Bomb, Toxic Blast, and Egg Lob, which, fun fact, this had counters Bar Blast's most common and strongest move, so pretty good. And then finally for the last ability line, the secret ability, which is Viscid, which is also a brand new ability. This ability will prevent us from being forced out of the battle of the Driving Force or Horndashi. These are the only force switching moves that we have in the game currently, although in the future there will probably be some more. Now for the best ability that I think FISCARNA has, definitely going to be Regift. Jamiy and Viscid can definitely be used, although Viscid is like very situational against some things. Jamiy is really good against completely countering Barrel Blast. It actually gives FISCARNA a pretty decent check to Volclaw, for example. However, I think Regift is just like such a great ability, and because FISCARNA is like pretty bulky overall, it's just a really good combo for it. Now let's go over the moves then. Starting with the level up moves, we have Spray, Strike, Brace, Water Bomb, Provoke, Examine, Soft Water, Maroon, Scapegoat, Square One, Mudslide, and then for the evolution move that FISCARNA gets is Recycle, which of course Recycle is a brand new move that we haven't seen before in Loomian Legacy. This move will replenish any consumable items that your Loomian has already used up in the battle. So for example, if your FISCARNA has a Water Shell item, uses a Water type move which will then consume your Water Shell, you can then use the Recycle move to get it back and then use it again, and then rinse and repeat basically. The game will actually keep track of your item, so if you switch out after consuming your item, when you switch back into the battle later on and use Recycle, it will give you the item back. However, if your item is stolen or removed via things like Slapdown, for example, Recycle will not replenish your lost item. Next up is the MMs, which we get Dodge, Barter, Frostbeam, Maroon, Tsunami, Bait, and Peace of Mind. And then for the rally moves, we get Stratagem, Empathize, Health Gift, and Energy Gift. Okay then, really fast then, before we end off the video, let's go over a couple potential sets you might end up running for FISCARNA. So you can definitely run this thing offensively if you want to. It's got a pretty good range attack stat. Its speed tier isn't terrible. You can outspeed stuff like Very Brawny Wrestling, Very Brawny Cannibal, Very Smart Eruptodon, Smart Ikazune, stuff like that, if they aren't running boots. However, I think most people are probably going to run this thing more defensive orientated, mostly because it has Regift, a godsend of ability, and defensively, it can check quite a lot of Loomians if you really want it to. So offensively, if you want to run it offensively, you got stuff like Peace of Mind free attacks. You have a lot of good attacking moves. Maroon, Tsunami for Water Stab. Frostbeam or Mudslide is great coverage moves. You could even, like, if you want to just run Peace of Mind 2 attacks, drop Water Stab. Earth and Ice is like one of the best like coverage moves you could have in the game. You can hit basically every Loomian in the game, at least for neutral damage, which is insane. So you don't actually have to run a water move, and then your last move could be like Recycle if you want to run like Milkshake for a health regain, if you're already using a health emerald on your team, or you could run something like Recycle with a shell, like an Earth Shell or an Ice Shell, so you can actually constantly do a lot more damage, even after a couple of Peace of Minds if you want to as well. Although, I feel like Peace of Mind, free attacks, and health amulet probably the better one to go for. And then defensively, you can run this thing melee tanky if you want to, for things like Serenite. Don't really care about a stab too much. Slapdown's a little bit annoying, but I mean, it is what it is. and you can completely negate barbs being set up on your side of the field. And if they do get set up on the field, you have Mudslide, which also hits Unite for quad effective, so that's actually pretty darn good. However, range defensive, you also have the added option of running Stratagem as well for pretty good damage output, which can also let it hit some toxic type Loomians and like some pretty common Loomians like Wrestlon and, like I said earlier, always forget his name, Barblast and Cannibal for super effective, because Stratagem's Mind, pretty darn good, and it also scales off of your range defense, so range defense can also work. And even for the tanky versions, it probably might be worth investing a little bit of speed just to outspeed some press. You can still, even defensively, run Nimble like Clever or like Nimble Robust if you wanted to get outspeed stuff like Smart Ikazune and stuff like that. And then along that low, unfortunately for healing options, it hasn't got anything like Rejuvenate, like a solid healing move. It has Soft Water, or you can run Health Amulet, or you can run Recycle of a Milkshake, or you can even run Empathize, which kind of works because FISCARNA has a really low health stat, so when you take quite a bit of damage, because your health stat is so low, let's say for example you use Empathize on something like a Strasor that has a pretty good health stat, you're going to get so much health back, and you're most likely going to get all of your health back, especially if you use Empathize on something like a Cephalops. You're just like always going to get all of your max health back instantly. And then, we aren't even done yet. FISCARNA has got a lot of other support options like Barter, Square One, Provoke, even bait for double battles. You have Scapegoat, which can be, I guess, kind of cool with like Recycle Milkshake, or just spamming Peace of Mind with a Health Amulet. That could work as well. Like, you have a lot of options, and yeah, even Empathize, like I mentioned earlier, is a really good support option as well, because like, yeah, even though like you might not be able to like hit a Loomian for like a lot of damage, you can at least like take a hit from them, then Empathize them, and like start draining their health while also keeping yourself like a healthy somewhat state as well. So yeah, FISCARNA is kind of scary. It has a lot of options, both offensively, defensively, and support-wise as well. So it's kind of nuts. Pretty darn nuts, especially with abilities. Like I said though, I think Regift is definitely going to be like the go-to ability. The other two abilities can be used. Viscid is like very like situational. Gummy is like really good for checking Volcolo and completely countering Barblast. It's up to you, but I feel like most people probably gonna go with Regift.